welcome Denny Waxman.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Steve, am I supposed to put this on?
Sure.
So, thank you very much for being here. I'd like to talk a little bit about macrobiotics and kind of cut through some myths about health and about macrobiotics. And it's based on material in our new book, Complete Macrobiotic Diet. 7 steps to feel fabulous, look vibrant, and think clearly. So, these principles that we're going to talk about are literally time-tested. They've passed the test of time because the way of eating is based on the dietary pattern of all the world's long-standing civilizations, which are all grain and vegetable-based. So even though many people think macrobiotics is a kind of fad diet, it's really the oldest diet that there is because recorded history begins with cereal grain cultivation, and all people are synonymous with the grain that they ate. For example, you cannot separate rice from Asia. It's who they are. You cannot separate corn from the Americans, or bread from Europe, or chapati from India. All people, every civilization has a grain that's synonymous with who they are. And they complemented those grains with beans and vegetables, soups, and other things that we're going to be talking about. So when we say the macrobiotic way of eating, we're really talking about the most ancient and most traditional way of eating. At the same time, it's the most progressive because it's in accord with the latest scientific research and discoveries. And I'll be bold enough to say, if you read 2 books, one, of course I recommend mine because it's a practical application. And the second, if you want the science, Dr. Colin Campbell, who wrote the China study. And his research documents every word that I say in my book, so he's provided the science. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. The second thing about the 7 steps you're going to talk about, they're really based on nature's cycles. Nature has orderly cycles that we can count on 100%. The sun rises, the sun sets. The moon goes from the new moon to the full and back again every month. We have an orderly progression of cycles. And our way of eating and living, rising and sleeping really is very much aligned and connected with nature. The next point is all of these things are based on common sense and human experience. These are not my discoveries. These are my observations. I've essentially observed and synthesized these things from our collective human experience. Everything we're going to talk about tonight are things people have been doing for thousands of years. However, now they seem foreign because we forgot about these basic things. There's another problem, and that is we're brought up with a countless number of myths in the name of science. So, for example, in 1956, the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, created the Basic Four, which is, in essence, conquered the world. And in there they said we need a combination of animal and dairy foods in order to get complete chains of essential amino acids. In other words, to get complete proteins that grow strong bodies and minds. Well, there's no science behind that. It's not true at all. As a matter of fact, it's 100% the opposite because animal and dairy protein are second-hand protein. First-hand protein is food that comes from nature and the earth, grains, beans, and vegetables that we can process directly. All food has protein. And plant protein is superior to animal protein in every way. Next is that milk grows strong bodies and builds strong bones. Well, worldwide, People that eat dairy foods and drink milk have osteoporosis. And people that don't. It's as simple as that. In other words, milk actually leaches more calcium than it gives us. It's nothing but a myth in the name of science. I mean, you can imagine who's promoted these myths, but we won't bother to go there. At any rate, another myth is about exercise. So I often like to ask a simple question. When do you think that people were healthier? In the past, when we were active day to day, or now that we're highly exercise conscious? Everyone knows people were more healthy in the past when people were active, when we spent time outside, when we did things. So basically, exercise and activity have become reversed, become confused. Healthy people like to be active. Activity is what we need. Structured exercise doesn't really help us. Yesterday, I had a client. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say structured exercise is more harmful than good because it imbalances our appetite towards healthy foods. So yesterday, I had a client. He got off to a great start with my recommendations. He felt he was doing much better. His diabetes improved and a number of other problems. But in the second month, he had real problems, and his cravings got completely out of hand. Well, it turns out he's literally addicted to exercise, to swimming, to running, to aerobics, to weights, and everything else. And what he noticed himself is that when he has intense exercise days, his cravings are worse. So the more he exercised, the worse his appetite became for healthy foods, and the more he increased for unhealthy foods. Whereas when you go for a walk, it makes you want healthy foods. If you do have a good conversation. So we need activity. This is another pathology. So health is not a state. Health is not something that we're born with and we lose. Health is something that we create every day of our life. Health, the way I look at health is that health is a direction. So every day, we're either moving towards health or towards sickness by what we do. There's just three things that move us towards health. One is our diet, which includes our eating habits. Number two is our activity. Number three is our attitudes. What I do, I work with people to help them overcome, in many cases, so-called terminal illnesses, and to go on to create lasting health. And this is something that I've done for a large part of my life. And in this time, I've come to realize that health is natural. Your body wants to be healthy. Everybody's does. If we do the right thing, we end up healthy. It's as simple as that. The problem is modern diet and lifestyle and activity are setting the direction towards sickness. So everyone's getting sick. You might have heard about the blue zones, places where people live long, healthy, active lives, and they're active up until the end, even able to produce, children. So Okinawa is probably one of the most well-known blue zones. Well, what happens in the blue zone is people are born into health. There's a pattern. They have good food, they have good activity, they have a good environment, they have good relationships. So it's hard to become sick. People live long, healthy lives. We have an opposite situation. What we're talking about is how to create a direction towards health. Now, I'd like to talk about a few steps, things you can implement from today. Contrary, another myth, our digestive system is not on call 24 hours a day. It's only active at certain times to receive nourishment. If you eat at the proper times, it makes your metabolism active. When I say metabolism, I mean your ability to digest, process the food, and eliminate the excess efficiently. So if we eat at the proper times, it makes our metabolism active, which is what we need for good health. If we eat at improper times, it has the opposite effect. It deactivates our metabolism. So a perfect example is brunch. You get up late, you eat a rich meal, it's not breakfast, and it's not lunch. And the only thing you can do is lay around all day. You're useless, right? If you would get up early and eat a simple breakfast, you couldn't lay around all day. You couldn't stand it. So, well, I've got to do something. Now, we've been brought up to think breakfast is the most important meal of a canning room. Lunch is our most important meal. In the past, when we were an agrarian society, for everyone, the noon meal was the main meal. There's a reason for that. Because lunch is your biological reset button. It resets your biological clock every day. Your blood sugar follows the sun's movement. If you have healthy blood sugar after midnight, your blood sugar gently starts to rise so you can get up early in the morning with a clear head. After lunch, especially from about 2 o'clock, your blood sugar gently starts to fall so you can settle down, you can go home at night, have your dinner, and sleep. That's healthy blood sugar. Hypoglycemia is the opposite. Our blood sugar can't rise in the morning, so we can't get up. It falls too quickly after lunch, so we're useless after lunch. We can't do anything. That's unhealthy blood sugar. When you start your lunch, is what regulates your blood sugar. So if you take one thing away from this talk, try to start your lunch every day, whether you eat home or in a restaurant, before 1 o'clock. The later you eat, the lower your blood sugar. The lower your blood sugar, the more it stresses your health, body and mind, in many different ways. So each day when we eat our lunch at the proper time, then we're resetting our biological clock. Interestingly, lunch is an inconvenience for most people, either by choice because they want to work through lunch, or because they're forced to by work. They're not allowed to stop for lunch or they have to eat at their desk. So for most people, the pattern is breakfast and dinner, skipping lunch. That's literally the worst thing you can do. So if you do one thing, try to set part of your lunchtime in stone and be consistent as you can, whether you're at home or in a restaurant. Thing most people can do. Second thing is, what we're talking about is not about what you don't do. You know, macrobiotics gained the reputation as the no-no diet. I can't do this and I can't do that. However, a number of years ago I had a realization that we cannot find balance by doing a negative. We can't find health by doing a negative. So by restriction, by thinking I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I can't do this, I can't do that, we don't end up healthy. Maybe we improve our health because we stop taking things harmful for a short period of time, but it doesn't produce lasting health. Literally, one day I was sitting on the beach, watching the waves, and it just occurred to me, the only thing that will work towards health is adding. If you add healthy foods and lifestyle practices, it's open-ended. It can grow continually throughout your life, and it can lead to a healthy balance. It's an automatic process. So a lot of people say, well, I like certain foods too much, I don't want to give them up. Well, my answer is no, you don't need to. However, what I'm suggesting is you may want to add certain healthy foods. Out of all foods, the two most important are grains and vegetables. Grains such as brown rice, barley, or millet, oatmeal, good quality pasta, good quality bread. These are real grains, polenta, couscous, things that people have been eating for thousands of years. The complement to a grain is a vegetable, any kind of vegetable, a steamed vegetable, a stir-fried, raw salad, blanched, any vegetable dish whatsoever. The combination of a grain and a vegetable gives the most complete and balanced nutrition that there is. The next most important food after that is soup. So if you want to have a healthier diet and you don't want to give up your animal food, your dairy food, or whatever else is important to you, don't worry about it. Because food creates a taste for food. How do I know this? Well, I was the king of the junk food eaters before macrobiotics. If it was healthy, I wouldn't eat it. I only ate junk. I was a grazer from the moment I got up till the moment I went to sleep. I started to eat brown rice, and something strange happened. Vegetables became appealing. I actually started to crave vegetables. Then one by one, other healthy foods became appealing. It wasn't something I tried to do, it was a natural process. Why? Because I started like adding, I didn't take away. And one thing led to another automatically. And again, this is the approach we take with our clients all the time, and it's effective. Because one healthy food craves another healthy food. It's an automatic process. It works in reverse. Unhealthy foods crave unhealthy foods. Once we start to eat junk food, we want more. When we eat healthy foods, we want more. Health craves health. The next thing that you can do is just walk outside. Walking is not exercise. It's natural movement. It's what everyone used to do all the time. We never thought about it. And in still a number of other countries, well, even here, New York, they walk. I don't think they walk any other place in this country, but people walk in New York City. If you go to someplace like London or Tokyo, people walk all the time. It's a part of life. It's something we used to do, we don't. Everyone knows the story about their parents or grandparents, right? Walking to school 10 miles uphill through a blizzard, barefoot on the rocky road, right? Well, I don't think they're exaggerating much, because in the past, everyone walked summer and winter, snow or ice or rain, it didn't matter. Just think, when you went to school, we didn't have high-tech shoes or boots, we didn't have high-tech clothing. Right? Rain or shine, it didn't matter, we walked to school. I remember all the times I was there, so, right? But everybody survived. It was a common thing. Because walking returns you to balance. Walking promotes health, physically and mentally. And walking exchanges your internal environment with the external. It's one of the most important factors. If you exercise inside, you're exchanging with the internal environment. If you go to the health club has a worse environment than most other places. The mall is the worst you can do. So some of my clients say, well, it's cold, I go to the mall. It doesn't help. You get negative points because you want to exchange. Maybe you say, well, it's too cold to go out, so just go in short bursts. Even 5 minutes in the freezing cold weather is good. It's a shock to the system, but it's a healthy shock. It gets things moving and refreshes you. So just walk outside of it. A natural walk. You don't have to worry about increasing your heart rate or anything else. Just your natural pace, whatever it could be slow, it could be fast, just walk outside. Now, if you feel more inspired after these things, there's a health practice we do called the body rub. It's a DVD. You just rub your skin with a hot damp cloth to activate your circulation. It's a very effective health practice. Now, why should we bother these things? Well, the answer is better health. Better health in all areas. So if you do these things, I can say with confidence, you will feel and look better. Noticeably better. You will feel and look younger. Now, you might think that's a bold claim, but I take pictures of my clients. And I have some clients that see me, monthly, some that see me yearly, but some clients I've seen over long periods of time. And in almost every case, they look younger after 10 or 15 years than when they first came. How can that be? Well, as you know, your chronological age is set. There's nothing you can do about it. But your biological age is not. Everyone knows older people that are young in body and mind, and young people that are already old. That's your biological age. We have complete control over that. These things wind back to your biological clock. Next, we'll have better sleep. Sleep is just a symptom of your activity, diet and activity during the day. Good food and activity produce good sleep. It's as simple as that. Next, food tastes better. I hear all the time, I don't want to do this because I like to eat too much. My answer is, I do this because I like to eat too much. Hopefully not too much, but I found the longer I do this, the more I enjoy food. Because when you're healthy, you crave food that promotes your health, that produces health, more all the time. So when you start to take steps to improve your health, you start to enjoy truly healthy food more and more. You get the real taste of food and satisfaction. Next, you think clearly and have a better memory. As you probably know, Alzheimer's is becoming a major problem in our society. Well, in Oriental medicine, they see the digestive system and the brain, the nervous system, as one system. Recent scientific research has confirmed that we have the same cells in our brain as we do in our digestive system. As a matter of fact, they call it our second nervous system, the enteric nervous system, in our digestive system. It's the same cells. Which means if you nourish your digestive system properly, you also nourish your brain, your ability to think clearly and to remember. There's a lot of reasons why Americans are falling behind the rest of the world educationally. We do deplorably compared to most other countries. Well, the answer is simple. Bad food and no activity. That's all it is. You'll find in a matter of days or weeks, if you start to eat healthier food and get natural activity, your ability to think and remember will improve. And it can improve for your lifetime. Then there's two other important benefits. Number one, according to a lot of various research, the greatest thing you can do to stem global warming is eat less meat. If we stop eating meat, we do more than anything else to quickly stem global warming. Diet, meat production is 51% of global warming, more than any industry. Isn't it amazing? The second thing is, you make enough food available today to feed this entire planet. If we eat grains and beans ourselves, then we have enough food for everyone. Hunger is something we've created. That's what it is. We've created it by raising grains and beans and feeding them to animals rather than eating them ourselves. So, there are advantages in every way, and things that I can think of to doing these things, personally, socially, and environmentally. Now, if you have interest in these things, then I'd like to take a few more minutes and just talk about the special offer we have. And that is the quickest and easiest way to get started and to really promote your journey towards health. There's two things. Number one is seminars. And at the Strengthening Health Institute, we have different levels of educational programs. But one is called the Discovery Program. And we have one coming up soon at a scene with Monroe on March the 7th. Which is from 9:30 to 5 o'clock. You will learn more details about these 7 steps. You'll get a cooking class to get you started. You'll taste how delicious the food is. You'll learn an exercise program, a daily exercise program that is really amazing for health and mental clarity. And you'll also get a tour of the scene to find out really which products, which brands, what are the best foods. So if you sign up today, and Stephen can help you with that, then you get a copy of my Body Rub DVD. So this is really how to do this health practice, which again, I didn't invent, but I just figured out how to make it more effective, more beneficial. Then, the other way is through personal counseling. This is the main thing I do. I help guide people towards health, from minor to serious problems. And in counseling, you get individual recommendations which are based on the problems you bring to me, but they're based more on the diagnosis I've developed over many years. that lets me understand your direction and how to adjust it. So if you sign up for a counseling session today, then you get a copy, so a copy of the book. So I hope you'd be interested in these authors, and I'm happy to answer some questions if you have.
Okay. What is your opinion of Dr. William Davis's idea of eliminating wheat from the diet?
What do I think about eliminating wheat from the diet and barley gluten sensitivity? This is a recent problem. It's one of the many fast-growing allergic problems. About a year ago, Colin Campbell was here to speak at the U of P. And afterwards, I asked him a question. I said, Dr. Campbell, we're good friends. I said, is there any science that you know behind the rapid increase in gluten sensitivity and gluten allergies? And he said, well, Denny, you've been in this game for a long time. What do you think? I know his answer was no, there is no science behind it. However, my long-time observation is that the basic problem or cause of all, I love to make these bold statements, but I only make them if I know them to be 100% true. The basic cause of all allergic problems is the combination of dairy foods and fructose, fruit sugar, especially when it's isolated in the form of high fructose corn syrup, which permeates our food supply and also recently agave nectar. And since many things, especially yogurt, is promoted as healthy, people are going out of the way to have dairy foods together with fruit sugar. This promotes all types of allergies. Wheat and barley are the two most ancient grains. They support a large percentage of the population on this planet. Now, granted, they're overly hybridized, but that's a secondary cause. It's not the main cause. We have a year-long course, and we've had, in recent years, 10 years ago, I never saw anybody with gluten sensitivity. In the last several years, we have more and more people that enter our course with gluten sensitivity and leave it out. So my point is, if you do the right things, you lose that sensitivity. And this is different from celiac disease, which is a different problem. In other words, if you have an observable reaction, avoid it temporarily while you eat other healthy foods, test the waters from time to time, and then you'll see within a period of time the sensitivity will disappear. Yes?
You spoke about lunch, very important.
Yes.
What about breakfast? Keep completely or what?
Oh no. So we can have 2 or 3 meals a day. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or if you choose to, either breakfast and lunch, or lunch and dinner. In general, practical people like breakfast and lunch. Creative people like lunch and dinner. So, but either way.
Thank you.
I have a few questions. You said that milk actually causes osteoporosis. What is it in the milk that causes it?
Animal and dairy protein cause the kidneys to excrete excess calcium. The reason is they're highly acidified. When you eat anything that's acidified, then the body needs calcium to neutralize the acidity.
But you said animal and
The
dairy
dairy
proteins
food
cause excess?
cause the kidneys to excrete excess calcium. Excrete. Animal, whereas plant protein doesn't have the same effect.
The reason I'm asking is because I've just been diagnosed with osteoporosis, and my diagnosis put me on medication, which I'm just not real happy with that idea. Now, do calcium high foods, calcium supplements, what might be an alternative to pharmaceuticals?
Calcium is one of the most abundant minerals in the Earth's crust. Cows get their calcium from eating grass, in other words, greens. We get our calcium from green vegetables. If you eat the proper foods, then you get the best calcium. Supplements are not necessary. Calcium is abundant in healthy foods, grains, beans, vegetables, etc.
And you mentioned when you started eating brown rice, as an example of one good grain.
Yeah.
What are some others that are cheap and easily available? Because I don't know. I can't go.
Well, all grains are cheap because they support our health on the planet. So,
And you mentioned some that you like
brown
to
rice,
get in the grocery store.
barley, millet, oatmeal,
I'm really good at
polenta, cornmeal, couscous. So start off with brown rice and oatmeal. That's a good start.
Yeah, those are the only ones I'm familiar with. I don't have the faintest idea of what to do with barley. I just wouldn't.
Cook it with brown rice. So, again, our book has, my wife Susan's back there, say hi.
Hi.
I know she's my wife, but her cooking is amazing. It's beyond amazing. And she's meticulous, so the recipes in this book are incredibly detailed. We have 2 students, and this couple is cooking every recipe in the book. You can go to their blog, Peaceful Plates, and see how delicious these foods, based on the specific recipes, are. But
I've got each other cooking. I don't cook. And I don't have a partner who cooks either.
well, then
I
you
think
need,
it's simple.
then you need to find restaurants that have grain and vegetable-based meals and go there.
Yeah.
I'm serious. And eat at regular times, or go to a scene. Have you been to a scene?
Yes.
Worth in Monorail?
Yes, and
Good.
What about fish?
What about fish? As far as animal food goes, fish is a healthy choice. However, the waters of our planet are becoming more and more polluted. So it's questionable how long or how much longer fish will be safe. And I say, for most of my macrobiotic practice, I have eaten fish, but my intention is, in the next period of time, to not. Nutritionally, we don't really need it. If we have a variety of plant-based foods and good activity, some people still feel the need, so either way, it's up to you. Again, it's more what you add rather than what you take away.
I was just going to say you might want to differentiate between wild fish as opposed to farm-raised fish.
Yeah.
You want the wild.
Yeah, if we fish, it should be wild fish, not farm.
Are all foods bad for you because of the sugar?
No, all fruits bad for you because of the sugar. Temperate fruits are healthy, meaning apples, peaches, pears, grapes, berries, melons, tangerines. Fruits like that, we include, but we see fruit as a further supplement to grains and vegetables, not as a replacement. So as part of the healthy diet. The fructose in fruit acts differently because of the fiber and the minerals in the fruit. The problem is, if you take something out of context, it doesn't work the same. It's the same with supplements or high fructose corn syrup, anything like that. But when it's part of the food, then it acts in a beneficial way in the body. So it's basically eat a varied whole foods, plant-based diet.
You talked about when to eat during the day, what to eat. Can you give some tips on how to eat? I mean, I've heard, and I'm not sure if this is a macrobiotic recommendation, but chew your food 32 times before you'll taste the textures more. Everything. I think everybody here is eat more slowly. I've heard eat sitting upright. Eat what have you. So with better postures. What are some basic core tips from your experience, from your years in the field, that are absolute, the red lines on what not to do and what to do?
Okay, the two absolute most important. Number one, sit down to eat without doing other things. It's more important than anything else I have to say, literally. In order to be healthy and make healthy choices, we need to connect with our food. So we don't have the radio on here, or the news, or reading the newspaper, or the TV, because this enables us to connect. When you have an important conversation, you put everything aside so you can connect with what's important to you. So in order to connect with our food, we need to be with our food. It's literally not important. That's the single most important thing. The second thing is to stop eating 3 hours before getting into bed. Because your body wants to clean and repair itself at night while you sleep. Your stomach needs to be empty for that to happen. Chewing follows that. It's not that it's not important, it is. But sitting down sets the stage. Now, if you take 2 people with equally bad diets, one that sits down and eats without doing other things, and one who doesn't, the one who sits down and eats without doing other things will still choose more carefully to eat less. And end up with better health. It's that powerful. Remember one time there was a lunch hour, believe it or not. Everything stopped and took an hour to eat lunch, and be together, and do things. It was a good thing.
I think that was around the time that people were walking 10 miles to school.
That's right. They went together. We still have time.
Do you have any recommendations for somebody who doesn't have
Wow, that's, what do you do for someone who has a nightmare? I do not. I really, well, then still eat at regular times and have good activity, but, we're meant to be active when the sun's up and we get the deepest sleep, when the stars are out at night. It's a natural cycle. So, there's a great American who was completely macrobiotic, and that was Ben Franklin. And he was vegetarian, he ate grains. Throughout his life, he tried to come back to simple practices. As he got older, he got away. But he said something very, very important. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. And they are very true words. And he understood the importance. They did research on his daily habits, and they conform exactly to what we said. It's exactly the same. And one of the secrets to his greatness, I think, was he understood how to use natural cycles and how to have a healthy life from a very young age. From 16 to when he changed his diet.
The reason I'm even here is because I've got a friend who I lived with for a while, and she was a very strict macrobiotic eater for 2 years, and then she started eating a little bit more this and that, but still felt, was kind of inculcated with this idea that this is right and this is wrong. And one of the things that there were 7 forbidden foods, and I don't remember all of them. I remember tomatoes and potatoes, and I think dairy was one of them. She always really, really gave me evil eye when I had milk in my decaf. Is there, where did that come from? She couldn't really explain it, she just learned it.
The strictness or the
It's
forbidden
forbidden foods, where did that come from? Is there,
Well-
because you obviously haven't mentioned anything about forbidden foods.
Yeah, like I said, macrobiotics was introduced in a way that gave the impression that the most important thing was avoiding certain foods. And that led to the idea that strictness is good. Now, we don't recommend being strict. I don't think it's healthy. We recommend is learning how to be accurate, how to do things in an appropriate way for your life and for your needs. And there's a huge difference. And for a lot of people, that means relaxed. Now, yes, we recommend not eating nightshades, again, because of the most acidifying plant foods. So the most acidifying foods on the planet are animal and dairy foods. The most acidifying plant foods are nightshades, potatoes, tomatoes, and eggplants. So there's nothing healthy about those foods, and bell peppers is another nightshade.
And what is
Now,
it?
I'm going to contradict myself. If you live in the tropics, so potatoes came from the Andes, but the Andes, the Inca never even ate tomatoes. They were an ornamental fruit. We're the first people ever to eat tomatoes on this planet. So it's an experiment with us. But at any rate, and it's even disputed whether the Inca actually ate potatoes or not, according to recent research. So I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure that out. But at any rate, in a temperate climatic zone such as ours, they are the most acidifying plant foods. And it's well recognized an acidic environment promotes infectious, inflammatory, and degenerative illness. It's simply that.
And milk causes, and dairy products cause acidity as well.
Acidity,
Yearly
allergies,
excrete.
inflammation, cancer, Alzheimer's. To start the list, diabetes. According to the research from Colin Campbell, casein, dairy protein, is the most potent carcinogen, cancer-producing substance on our planet.
Well, what about there are cultures that have, knowledge of the names of these cultures and where they are, but I know there are cultures that are dairy-based cultures. That's, they have these.
Besides the Maasai in Africa,
Now, do they all have milk? Do they all have osteoporosis? Do they all die young? Do they all have cancer?
I don't know their longevity statistics, but there's not a culture, civilization on this planet that was dairy-based. They were all grain, bean, and vegetable-based without exception. And there's no species that takes the milk of another species other than human beings. Okay? We're the only ones.
I know, but they ate a lot of dairy.
No, actually they did not. I'm sorry to contradict you,
no,
but I realize this might be going on too long, but so when we came out with this edition, I decided to check everything I've been saying for years, reality check, just to make sure it was accurate. So I did some research on animal food consumption worldwide. And what I discovered was before the Industrial Revolution, in Europe, the average meat consumption was 5 to 10 kilograms per year. That means 10 to 20 pounds per year per person before the Industrial Revolution. That's almost nothing. China had very little, and Japan had the lowest history of any animal food consumption on the planet. So, but even in Europe, they ate practically no animal or dairy food. Those things are promoted recently. And in brief history, World War II, nitrogen-based fertilizers led to surpluses of grains and beans. What do they do with them? They raise cows, pigs, and promote dairy food. You can trace it. It's created. It's mythology. It's not true at all. And even science is having a harder time supporting that mythology because so much research is coming out against it. So this huge campaign supporting animal and dairy foods has been launched, but even that is, it's not making progress. In the past, and in recent past, our, recent ancestors had very, very little animal and dairy foods. They were holiday and festival foods, really. So, but on the other hand, everyone was eating grains, beans, vegetables, soups, naturally pickled and fermented foods, mild beverages, and some animal and dairy foods. This is the history of our planet. And different from civilization, that means the Far East, India, the Middle East, Eastern, Western, Northern, Southern Europe, and Africa. They're all based on greens, beans, and vegetables without exception. So this is my observation and study of how these common patterns existed throughout the world and basically became disrupted with the Industrial Revolution and technology, cities and farms. So it's a recent pattern that we can see very, very clearly. And World War II was the major turning point because of technology and science took over. So, at any rate, and even things like you can probably remember, medications, antibiotics, all these things are not commonly used. So I remember the first time I saw someone, which was my mother, for my bar mitzvah, who got sick, stressed, and my cousin was a doctor, gave her penicillin shots so she could, make the event. It wasn't commonplace, not long ago. All these things we take as, that this is part of our life and we've been doing it, they're really not. They're very recent things. And these things are promoted as foreign, but they're real. And these are things your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, etc., were actually doing in everything. So, I hope you take these things to heart. I hope to see you all again. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. If you want to vote,